Okay. Hope you can see me there. Several states in the USA are pushing for a ban of VPNs. Um, and my suggestion is that you get a VPN if you haven't already, and don't wait. Just get a VPN. Now, I'm not selling VPNs. I'm not. I use a VPN myself, but I'm not here to sell you VPN. I'm not sponsored by any VPN provider. I'm just here to tell you that um, I think that it's wise to get a VPN before it's too late. I don't know, honestly, if it's like how it's going to be. If you already have a VPN, will they be able to shut that down or not? But I do know that when the laws go through and they make VPNs illegal, it's going to get very, very difficult. Well, it's going to be illegal to get the VPN. We're going to talk a bit more about the whole how this fits into the whole wider picture, so to speak. Let me see if I can. Yeah, we can make it a little bit brighter here. And I told you many, many times, the USA is not the land of the free. It really is not. If you look at the USA and you compare it to the EU, all the things that the USA are, the current administration is criticizing the EU for, and rightly so, they do themselves, more or less. Now, I'm Norwegian, if you didn't know. I suppose all of you guys have been here before, here on this live stream, because YouTube is not pushing this. My message is out to new people. So, I'm not, as a Norwegian, I'm not part of the EU. But I trust, ironically, I trust the Norwegian government to follow in the footsteps of the EU. They like to do that. So, again, I am not here to sell you a VPN. Now, nothing wrong with that. If there are any VPN providers out there who wants to sponsor me, I find that unlikely. But if so, reach out. I might make a little bit more than $10 on this live stream. But yeah, my whole point here is that get the VPN. Don't wait if you haven't already. I don't know the technical differences between the different VPNs. You can find that out for yourself, I guess. Now, here's the thing. So, what seems to happen is that, and this is the mechanism that we can observe. If you have a country or a state within a country, and they make a legislation that gives them control over what people are saying and what people are doing online or anywhere else, it's about control. If one state or one country does that, it spreads, because other governments, they are looking at that and they're thinking, wow, how practical it must be to be able to shut down anyone who speaks up against the current narrative. So it's going to spread. And many of us here in Norway, we are looking at the EU, we are looking at the USA, and we are watching what's happening there because it will much more most likely happen there before it happens in Norway. That's the thing about Norway. It's they kind of wait a little bit. That seems to be be the strategy. So when it's common to do these things in other places, then they do it here as well. Um, what do you need a VPN for if you aren't downloading? Uh, well, a VPN gives you, you know how a VPN works, right? Now, I'm not into the technical details here, but you need a VPN because of safety first and foremost, and also because you get a certain degree of you become somewhat anonymous. It's too early for me to say these difficult English words. Yeah, online privacy. Exactly. Thank you, Matthew. So it's like this has nothing to do. You know what? This has nothing to do with politics. If you're voting to the right or to the left, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. These people are all, it's basically all the same. Republicans, Democrats, socialists, conservatives, whatever. The way I'm looking at it now, the only political parties that seem to be going against the Great Reset and Agenda 2030, because let's face it, that this is part of that. Obviously, you can just go on their website and read it. It's all there. It's not a secret, you know. The only political parties that seem to go against that are the populist, nationalist political parties, at least some of them in Europe. Now, you might not want to vote for them. Maybe they have issues, I would say. Um, and then again, when people get into positions of power, they tend to become corrupt. It's like power corrupts, and I don't know, but I don't care if you're left leaning or right leaning. I don't. Doesn't matter. That has nothing to do with this. It's about your freedom. Now, of course, it seems like people on the right care more about freedom than people on the left. At least it used to be like that in the past. But what I'm trying to say here is that if you don't care about your online privacy now, it's just because you have had on a certain degree of online privacy. And you will certainly notice when it's gone. And let's just be a little bit blunt here, okay? This has nothing to do with you being on a porn site. They don't care about that. It's not about that, obviously. And they are saying that, well, we are doing this to protect the children so that the children will not go on these porn sites. Yeah. No, it's not about that. They want to ban VPNs because that will, if you don't have a VPN, very soon you will have to use your digital ID, and you will have to confirm your identity by scanning your passport or driver's license to a facial biometric scan to access the internet. I'm not going to do that. So I do use a VPN. Now, of course, you could say that, well, if this spreads to every single country on the planet, then the VPN won't help you. But there are countries that do not support this, actually. And those are mainly small countries that where the government have a different attitude towards their citizens. They don't think that they own you, and that's the problem with the Western world, and of course China, But if we're talking about the Western world, in their culture, it's like in our culture here, and I think this goes back to the feudal system. The attitude among the ruling class is that they own you, and we can see that because of military mandatory conscription. And I've said it many, many times. I am against that. It's a crime because it's a proof that these people, they believe that they own you. They can send you into a minefield with a gun pointed at your back if they want to. Yeah, they've done it before, and they'll do it again because they think that they own you. And there are countries actually where that is not the attitude, and where also the government, they don't have the resources to treat the people like cattle. So okay, let's see here. Yeah, I'll try to. We have several strong opinions here in the chat, but I want to thank you, Matthew, for the donation. Can't believe a country like the US is doing this. That the other thing about them is being critical of the EU, then doing the same. Yeah, not surprised. No, we shouldn't be surprised. And I'm not defending the EU. I hope you're not thinking I'm doing that, but let's see here. Yeah, Urval, I don't think the EU and the USA are that different when it comes to their need for control, their need for surveillance, the authoritarian rule. I think when it comes to the government being authoritarian, it's much worse in the USA than the EU. But here's the thing: the EU, they want to become like one state, basically, and they're looking at the USA. I believe they're looking at the USA and in admiration when it comes to the authoritarianism. Yeah, they can't ban Tor. Is that the black web? And someone says there they can't ban VPNs. Well, they can. Can they do it technically? Like, I don't know. But I do know that you should have a VPN, and it's probably best if you get it before it becomes illegal. So I don't know if they can detect that you're using a VPN if you have it installed already. I don't know. And some people will say that, oh, they can do everything. I don't think they can do everything. And at least we should make it difficult for them. Okay. Yeah, Renee, I do understand how a VPN works. Thank you. So, you might not think that the VPN is worth it. That's up to you. This is just my recommendation, and I think it's a wise recommendation. And again, I'm not here to sell you a VPN. I'm not sponsored by any VPN provider. Yuval says, but you are for limiting AI. So why should they know? I really don't get your logic there. I think there is no logic in what you're saying there. Excuse me, and but yeah, the AI should be absolutely limited. Yeah, of course, of course. So who should have the power to control anything? Well, the government should have the power to control something, of course. Jesus, yeah. Excuse me to the Christians out there. Herregud, that's what we say in Norwegian. You can look that up if you want to. Yeah. So in basically what we're talking about is statism. And I made a video or live stream a long time ago. What's the most dangerous ideology? It's statism. It is statism. The belief that the state should have all these powers and all of this control. And I've also, who owns the VPNs? Listen, make up your own mind about this. I make up your own mind. It's fine. But we should all try to look at ourselves, and now I'm not at some point being careful and mindful becomes paranoia, you know. And what what seems to follow is this attitude, that a very defeatist attitude. We can't do anything. We can't do anything. There is no point in doing anything because the government owns the VPNs. And no, listen, if you don't like what I'm saying here, I'm actually a little bit surprised, because I thought this would be a sensible recommendation, that wouldn't, I hate to use this word because I trigger, wouldn't trigger anyone, but everyone's gets so easily triggered now, like little children. Um, yeah. How about no state intervention in anything, internet and communication? No, you don't want that. There are some very bad people out there. You do not want that. Let's not get into details. So, in general, what I believe is the problem here is the attitude where the ruling class thinks that they own you. And most citizens, they support that attitude. It's a group dynamic that we are observing, right? That's why, let's say you are conscripted to go and fight in Ukraine. That could happen. It can happen. It could happen within 2026. Your neighbors might tell on you. Is that what you say? If you try to get away from that. It's like most people out there are so obedient that they will point out the place where you are hiding, so to speak. That's the group dynamic. We have observed that before. Not so long ago, World War II. Did you know that here in Norway we were occupied? after a very short fight against the Nazi regime. And of course, the resistance continued fighting. Um, but there were more people in Norway involved in, was it the Gestapo, was it? Or, well, involved in positions that supported the Nazi regime than there were people involved in the resistance, not like Norwegian people. And this is because you need to understand that those people who rise up and fight against what future generations hopefully will call evil, those people who rise up, they are not the obedient ones. They're not the obedient ones. They are the rebels. They are, dare I say, those people who resisted during COVID with the vaccine mandates, who protested, who said, I'm not doing this. I'm not lining up. Well, if you agreed with that and you yourself, you felt that this vaccine is a good, healthy thing to do, for me, that's fine. That's you. But that's not what I'm talking about. I disagree with that, but it's your decisions. Those people who, most people, they, back then, not so many years ago, they tried and they wanted to punish people like myself who did not get the vaccine. Now, why am I talking about the vaccine now? First of all, because apparently we can do that on YouTube now again. But it's the obedience. It's the obedience. It's so dangerous. What I want is a nation of rebels. I don't want a nation of obedient people. The obedient people are the most dangerous ones. Again, I think it goes back to the feudal system. And never forget that people in the USA, it's basically, it's based on the feudal system. People escaped from poverty in Europe, but they took with them their values. And, dare I say, Christianity, American Christianity, looks a lot like a system where people are kept obedient. But, back to the topic here. When they want to ban VPNs, it's part of Agenda 2030. Now, we have one more day left, or two if you're in the USA, of 2025, right? And if you look at Agenda 2030, everything is lined up. They are on track with that. Smart cities, the destruction of the middle class, the destruction, can I say the word, obliteration? Is that the word? Please help me out here. Obliteration of ownership. If you're 20 years old now, you have a dream of starting a family and buying a house with a nice garden where your kids can play. It's impossible. You need to have rich parents to do that. That is the destruction of ownership. You will own nothing and you will be happy. Yeah, the last part there, I don't believe so much. It's like when they say that high-taxed social democratic countries in the Nordic countries, they are the happiest. Yeah, are we? Look at countries that are top on the list of antidepressant usage or antidepressants. Last time I checked, we were on the top of that list. Now, nothing wrong with that if you have problems. That's not what I'm saying. Some people probably need to use antidepressants now and then. That's not what I'm saying. But it's like, don't come here and say that we are the happiest with this system where we are so obedient. We pay all these taxes. We can't even leave the country without being punished with extra taxes if we move out of the country with our business. We can't. Are we so happy here? Well, you're only happy here if you're obedient. You know. Um, oh, horror business. Thank you so much for the donation. That is very kind of you. Um, yeah, I like to fool myself and say that I don't work so hard with YouTube, my channels here, but I do. um, yeah, this censorship on YouTube is quite insane. I've told you the story. I was ranting about, and I think I had the right to do that when one of these AI channels, they use AI and they mix it up with stolen content from movies and other channels. Midgard Living, they stole two of my videos and made a nonsensical, stupid video using my material. And when I reported that to YouTube, I got hit with a copyright strike. And they took down one of my videos. It took me more than a month to get through to YouTube. Now it's sorted out now. Now, I'm not talking about this channel, by the way. That's my main channel. All my 4 channels are, well, the other 3 channels are linked to in the video description. So, Agenda 2030 also, it goes against what I believe in. It goes against happiness and a healthy life. It's like, just look at the food. They want us to eat things that I don't even consider food. Now I'm at my last leg in my powerlifting competition career, and after I finish my last competition, I'm going to hopefully drop some body fat. I do that by eating less carbs. It's obvious, right? And eating more steak, more eggs, all the things that they don't want us to eat. And if you look at people now, they are so unhealthy. The diet that is recommended that goes into the Agenda 2030 thing, the diet is it's just carbs, basically. Sugar, processed, ultra processed food, carbs. One thing is your physical condition. It will be negatively affected by such a diet. But even more serious is the mental aspect of that. That's a recipe for depression, by the way. It's a recipe for anxiety. And this has been proven time and time again. So people will be dependent on antidepressants and maybe anti-anxiety medications, And I know some vegans will say that, "No, no, I'm not depressed, and I've been vegan for many years." Yeah, maybe so, but the proper research that has been done on this doesn't lie. And again, if you want to find information about this, for instance, diet, proper diet, um, you probably also need a VPN. Again, I'm not saying that I'm selling a VPN, because I'm not. Just saying that it's information will be hidden from you, um, concerning everything that goes against Agenda 2030. And this is not a conspiracy theory. AI, when it comes to AI, it was mentioned here. Have anyone wondered why they put AI in fucking everything now? Why is it like it's AI in everything? And in the UK, which is basically a dumpster fire at this point, they are even talking about replacing the juries. If you've done something wrong or you're accused of having done something wrong, they talk about replacing the juries with AI. I'm not kidding. Look it up. Why is it that they put AI in everything here? Everything now. Why is that? Well, what I find ridiculous is that there are so many people who out there, they think that AI is this entity that thinks for itself, that will be running on its own, making its own decisions. And like, and I'm like, what? Why? And no, no, that's not how it is. Um, People in charge, um, the people who are actually making decisions, they will program the AI. They will decide in which direction the AI is leaning, right? They will decide, for instance, we talked about diet. They will decide that, well, AI will recommend high carb diets. Whenever you write, for instance, I have pain in my knee or something, uh, the AI will write, well, you should eat more carbs, and they will recommend, I don't know, some carb slop that you can buy in your grocery store. It's not like it's not going to be an entity there doing its own thing. It's going to be programmed with certain values, and certain it will be given certain directions. Of course, why would people in positions of power not use AI in that manner? Of course they will, and they are already doing that. So, um, yeah, good point here. Cell phones. Thank you for reminding me. Almost forgot. Yeah, get ready to get rid of that smartphone. And And I have a smartphone now, and I went many years up until recently without a smartphone, and I'm going to get back to that. But I had to get a smartphone because I got sick, and I have some tools there on the smartphone that help me. But I'm getting better, and and so I'm not going to keep that smartphone. uh, in the future, that being said, I like having the smartphone watching YouTube videos, so on. Uh, that's nice. But the day that they are requiring me to do a biometric face scan is the day I do not use the smartphone ever again. And I think that we are going to have to make that choice in the near future. And I think smartphone addiction is a real thing, and it's going to be used by the same entities to make people fall in line. Um, you should try to, get a dumb phone if you can. In Norway, it became very difficult to get a dumb phone because they closed down the network that they were using. But if you can get a dumb phone, like that's a phone that is not a smartphone, a phone that is not connected to the internet. Now, I use the light phone, uh, light phone 2, is it? Well, I really like it. It's good. It's not connected to the internet. Um, try just to check if you are addicted to your smartphone. Try to go 1 week without looking at your smartphone, without touching your smartphone. 1 week. If that's difficult, you probably have some work to do. Because I don't think that in the future you're going to be able to use a smartphone and also not be continuously tracked. I don't think that you will be able to use your smartphone in the future without doing a biometric face scan. Now, some people don't care about that, but I do. So again, it's up to you. Like the VPN, some people don't care if they are tracked. Some people don't care if they are not able to access certain websites. I do. Um, we will miss you then. Well, you can look, you can check, you can look at YouTube videos on a laptop computer and also on your TV, probably. Um, it's not like you have to use the smartphone. Um, but we will see. Smartphones also listen to everything. Yes, they do. I honestly, after going, was it 5 years without a smartphone? I think I don't, and I put it away now and then, a couple of days, and that's not a problem. So I think I'm without a smartphone long enough to not ever get addicted again. But that's just one tool. We need to be realistic here. Looking at things now, I understand that it will help to not have a smartphone. You could also choose not to bring a phone at all when you go out. But what we're seeing is, of course, all these cameras. Have you noticed all the cameras on the roads? I find it very interesting. It's surveillance. If you go to the UK, it's crazy. They have cameras everywhere. I find it strange that they have so much crime being done by these grooming gangs. How can that happen when they have all these cameras monitoring everything happening? You know, being little bit ironic here, but of course, these cameras everywhere is making it difficult to move around without being tracked. Um, I don't think that it's like in the movies, they can from a distance track you by recognizing your face. I don't think so. But when you enter, there are stores now where you have to listen. I don't know, but I've heard that there are stores where you have to do a face scan now. Is that true? Have you heard about that? Can't remember which country it was, but you know, yeah, the smart Renee, yes, that's smart TVs also listen. Yeah. So there are all of these things, and I'm not going to try to pretend that I'm an expert on this and that I and neither and you are not an expert either, probably. We don't know in which ways we are being surveilled. We don't know. But we do know it's not good. We do not know it's not good. And it's going to help to not have a smartphone. And it's a little bit like where's that line in the sand? You know, if you have to do a biometric face scan, there's a reason why they ask for that. It's not your ID. It has nothing to do with your ID. Um, are you going to do that or not? I'm not going to. Uh, Carola, so it says supermarkets without staff. So in Germany, you have to identify with your ID card. Yeah, that's in Norway, that would be illegal. You know why? Because we have a law in Norway that was recently implemented that says that every single store needs to accept cash. So you can't have a store where there is not a staff and they will accept cash. They have to accept cash as payment. But that law could be changed in the future. Some apps and websites, especially banking, deny access if a VPN is used. I've noticed that. And I don't try to access those websites. I also don't access websites if you get you have to agree with them getting information about you used to this and that. I'd never agree. And if that makes me unable to access that website, I don't access that website. Cookies, yes. Cookies are no good for anything. It's not food and it shouldn't be used to track you. Yeah, so exactly, it all ties into digital ID. So it's becoming obvious now who are idiots and who are not idiots. At this point, it should be obvious why digital ID is a problem. Uh, we know that the digital ID is a way to link everything about you together. So if you've been a bad boy on Facebook and you wrote something about the regime that is currently running the show in your country, you're going to have problems. They could shut you down completely. Yeah. So everything will be linked together. So everyone in any part of the government, anyone with access to that system will see your medical record, your social media record, your everything about you, basically. Your shopping last week, and add to that the idea of carbon footprint. Oh, you had 3 steaks this month. You can't have a fourth, so you can't buy that, and so on. It's the linking to the digital ID is the linking together of everything about you in a grid. And nobody should have that much information about you. Nobody should have that much power over you. So let's say well, if I try to access, if I try to go to the USA. Now, I don't know if this law is in place already, but it will be very soon if it's not in place already. So I think so. Let's say I say here, I've said it many times before. I think Trump has lost the plot. He's not in control, and the government in the USA now is highly corrupt, and many of the people in positions of power there, they had links to Jeffrey Epstein. And I think they're horrible people, and they, many of them should be in jail, and put them in jail, throw away the key. They're disgusting people. Yeah, what I just said there. Yeah, and Trump himself, of course, I mean, obviously. Why is he not in jail? Fucking hell. Why is he not in jail? You have to be delusional to not see the link to Jeffrey Epstein and the disgusting, evil things they were doing. So why is he not in jail? Put him in jail, right? What I just said there, first of all, I mean it. That's my opinion. Jail for what? Look at the Epstein files. You can easily remove the redactions. There are videos about that. Not all of them, but many of them. And you have to be very naive not to see that. And if you like Trump and you think that I'm stupid or bad for saying what I just said, I don't care, because I care about what's right and what's true and what's fair. And I think that people who are taking advantage of vulnerable young women like that should fucking be in jail. And Bill Gates, obviously, why is he not in jail? Mick Jagger, why is he not in jail? I have a long list. Why are these people walking around? Why do they have freedom at all? Why are they not in jail? But anyway, what I just said about Trump there makes it very difficult for me. Well, basically, impossible to enter the USA. Again, surveillance, control, authoritarianism. Because if you come from Europe and many other countries, they need to access the last 5 years of your social media activity. So obviously, I would be in trouble. Um, they are going to do a biometric face scan, and they need the telephone numbers and contact information to your family members. So my response to that is they can go and fondle themselves in a very dark room. Yes. And now, when you know this, if you didn't already, tell me that the USA is not an authoritarian dystopian hellscape. Now, I think that the country is wonderful. I have been in the USA. I would like to go back, but I can't. Wonderful people in the USA. Um, the scenery, the nature, amazing, obviously. But sadly, it's been hijacked by authoritarian people. And it didn't start with this administration. The former administration was authoritarian as well. Just look at some of the things they said during COVID about people who were not vaccinated. Never forget that. Um, yeah, Europe seems to be in more of the decline than the USA at this time. Actually, the difference when it comes to economic growth is very small. It was 70% in the USA and 62% in the total of EU. I can't remember which was that last year. No, I can't remember which year. But that's the number: 70, 62%. Yeah, no, it's like again, this attitude with authoritarianism is there. It's in place in the USA. It's in place in the EU. We have politicians in my country, Norway, salivating when they look at what they are doing in the EU and the USA because they want to do it as well. Um, and they are getting some new toys now to play with to make it easier to keep people in check, to keep people in under surveillance. Um, yeah, EU seems like the new USSR. Well, no, that's not true. I don't know if you've been traveling in Europe. I have been to former. I've been to Eastern Germany. That was before it kind of got modern. I've been to Russia. I've been to Ukraine, and I've been to all the Western European countries except Liechtenstein and Luxembourg. And I can tell you that no, Western Europe is not like the USSR. Nothing at all like that. I've been actually in a grocery store in Ukraine where you had to line up in a queue to buy bread. It's, yeah. No, sorry, I forgot. Andorra, I haven't been there. Also forgot Belgium. I almost went to Belgium. I haven't been there either. But mostly the big countries, I've been in all the big countries. Um, now you are Belgian. Yeah, I would like to go there. Skillset, thank you so much for the donation. That's very kind of you. That's very kind of you. Belgium isn't a country. Is it not a country? Okay. Oh, actually, I forgot. I haven't been in Ireland either. Oh, yeah. I'm not as well traveled as I forgot all about that. But all the other countries. Yeah, I'll sort that out soon. But anyway, thank you so much, Megan Russia, for the donation. That's very kind of you. You need to go, lad. Yeah, I know, I know. Um, but anyway, um, Jeffrey says some very dumb people in here. Oh, is that in your country or in the chat? I hope you're not saying that about people in the chat. So now traveling, lots of just suggestions here about traveling. I should travel to this and that place. Traveling is going to be difficult too. Now, the theater that is the security check at the airports. It's I believe that has very little to do with security. I believe it has a lot more to do with imposing a mindset of obedience onto people when they enter um, the international zone of the airport, so to speak. And I'm against what they're doing. I'm against the attitude. When you go, in Norway, it's not that bad. But when you go to the UK, these grumpy, toothless, fucking idiots standing there in the security check, I have no respect for them. And I think it shows. They always give me problems. Basically, because I often have a camera with me, and they need to check the camera because it could be a bomb or something. No, I hate those people. They disgust me, honestly. So it's going to be more difficult to travel now if you do not want to give them all information about yourself, biometric face scan, and everything. And it's like, no. The answer is no. No. Not going to do it. So, is Norway using face recognition at the airports? Well, if so, they must have done it very recently. Last time I was traveling, they did not. No. I tend to use a small airport. They don't have the body scan where they basically take a nude photo of you. And nobody should do that, by the way. It's very unhealthy for you. So, yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, so what I'm trying to say is that traveling is going to be more difficult if you don't want to give them all this information. Jeffrey is saying Norway uses facial recognition at its border as part of the new EU entry-exit system for non-EU. Yeah, I think Norway is part of the Schengen, because I've never encountered that entering Norway or leaving Norway. Trond says, I fly a lot. That has never happened to me here in Norway. Yeah, I have the same experience. But since people are so idiotic when it comes to these matters, they could just do it and people would go along with it. Oh, Sours says they have that in US airports, but it's not a 3D scan anymore. It's just a generic character model. It took some perps to change that. Yeah, they sold the photos, didn't they? Yeah. Did that happen recently? Because I heard someone did that a few years ago. No, I believe in traveling by car at this point. That's my get out plans involve driving. But I will say that all this security nonsense and the biometric face scans and all of that, it's they say it's for security and so that bad people will not enter the country. Okay, yeah, that's very cute to say that. Um, the sad part is that so many people, the sheep out there, they believe that. They think, oh, that's what they're saying, so it must be true. Last time I checked, when it comes to terrorism, when it comes to people driving a car into a bunch of people, things like that, those are people already living in the country, radicalized by usually Islam. And on second place, I think you would have people hating Jews or people hating. It seems to be, people with a very like this Christian. They claim to be Christians when they move down 50 people with their guns. It's like, that's not Christianity the way I see it, but that's, maybe it is. People can discuss that all day long, I guess. But my point here is that security checks in the airports will not stop that. They live in your country already. Now, within the next year, 2026, we will see many, many more of these attacks, terror attacks. And these people already live in your country. So, yeah, that's why I call it the security check in airports. It's a theater. And it's meant to bend people into obedience. I think we all understand, what's it. If you had to bet the next terror attack in a country, in your country, what will it be? It will be motivated by Islam. and people say, "Oh, that's racist." Yeah, well, call it whatever you want, but just wait and see. It will be motivated by Islam. Now, I don't know the statistics for the USA. In the USA, there are problems of a different kind. In addition to that, you have the school shootings and things like that. But at least in Europe, the next terror attack will be motivated by Islam, and the person or the people doing that will they already live in the country where they will be doing their terror attack. So yeah. um, yeah, um, yeah, you also have, of course, the people just walking across the border. Um, yeah, I find it amusing that when I, as a Norwegian man, go to the UK, I'm treated as a potential criminal at when I enter the country. That's how it feels like, um, and they look at me in a very angry manner. They always do. At the same time, they are just allowing these boats with immigrants or migrants, whatever they call them. They just enter the country all of the time. So again, it's a theater. Now, the last thing I want to talk about here is that when we have this mass immigration, we have a movement of people. Um, I don't want to say never seen before in human history because I actually don't know the numbers. We have had migrations before, but we there weren't that many people around back then. But it must have felt like overwhelming because in percentage of the original population, the people coming in, there were like a lot of them and so on. But we have like unprecedented migration now, and it's like this is a wanted development. It's a designed development. It's because it also ties into this whole picture, this whole system that is being implemented now, where workforce must be allowed to flow across the borders. Um, and I do believe that a main motivation for the mass immigration into countries, into European countries, maybe also into the USA, is that they can't run the economy with the present level of wages. They need to get the wages down, and they need to make it more difficult to make money. They need to make people more desperate. This has been observed before, of course, and I do believe that we are looking at feudalism 2.0, a new version of feudalism that's coming, where you won't own anything. But some people are calling it techno feudalism. you're kind of missing the point if that's what you call it, because it's not really about technology and it's not limited to technology. This is a new way of living and existing that will be spread across all aspects of life. Yeah. Now, I said that was the last thing I wanted to talk about. We are getting into some deep, important topics here. But we need also to talk about CBDC. So that's when it must not be like digital currency. It must not be confused with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is cryptocurrency. Digital currency is coming, of course, and it's programmable money. So let's say you are in the future, near future, your wages are paid in digital money. That will be linked to the whole system, the whole grid, right? Again, if you have been speaking up against the current narrative during the next pandemic, or if you have been speaking up against on social media, you've been writing some nasty words about the president of your country or the government, they can just close your access to your own money. And people think that's, oh, not, they will never do that. Well, they are going to do that. Yeah, smart meters, smart houses, they can just turn off your meter. Yes. So everything will be linked into this, okay? And when they need, for instance, the consumption to go up in the economy, they can, for instance, then say that, well, your money will be, they have a best before date. Your money needs to be spent in 3 months, let's say. They can do that with CBDC. So again, you have to detach to be free. That's basically that's my conclusion here. Most people are sheep and they will just go along with it. We learned that during COVID. They would fucking stand there in a queue, and if someone like fell over from the vaccine in having cramps on the floor, they would still be there in the queue because they're obedient, you know. So people will just go along with all of this, and there is nothing we can do about it. But you can detach from this, at least partly. You can detach fully. It will be more difficult, or you can detach partly. If you leave your phone at home and you walk into the woods, they're not going to be tracking you. And if you think that, well, they will look at you from the satellites, they will recognize you by how you walk. No, that's paranoia. So let's not go there. But you can grab that freedom. You can do that. But very few people do it. Yeah. So if you don't want your phone tracked, put it in a Mylar bag, or yeah, all of these things. The problem with that is that people tend to take it out of that bag, and when you do that, immediately your position is pinpointed. That's that's how it is. So Yeah, Yuval says it's a religion problem. Yeah, that's the terrorism. Yeah, um, it's easy to see that it's part of their religion, of course. Islam, we're talking about Islam now. You can argue that you find the same in Judaism and Christianity. There is a difference, however. In Islam, any territory that was once under Islamic rule is viewed by Muslims, not a common people, not a common Muslim, but in the faith, it's viewed as um, belonging to Islam forever, even if they lost it. And therefore, um, most of Europe is viewed by these people as belonging to Islam. Interestingly, the Soviet attitude is much the same. And I think Putin himself said that any territory that was once under the boots of Russian soldiers is viewed as Russian territory. You know, something to keep in mind, I think. Let's see. Mike, I'll just respond to that, and I haven't heard that one before. So people who claim that completely automated stores and restaurants are needed so that we do not have any negative social interactions between employees and customers. Well, when I go to the grocery store, I don't use the automatic checkout. I always go to a human, what's it called, cashier, an employee, because I want to support them. If everyone used the automatic option, they would be fired. Cashier, yes. So I I say hello, and and now when it's Christmas or Jul, as we say here, I say God jul, and then I say bye bye or ha det in Norwegian. And you know, you have to fix the culture if people are being nasty in the stores. You have to fix the culture. Okay. Now, I don't know if I will be back here before New Year's Eve. Maybe I will. I don't know. Yeah. But if I'm not, then I want to wish you a happy New Year. And I have a feeling, knock wood, that it's going to be a good year. Actually, I have a feeling that it will be good. It's dangerous to say these things, but we can decide ourselves, right? If it will be a good year or not. it's not so much about what happens, but it's about how you deal with it, right? Hmm. Yeah. Uh, okay. Yeah. Well, have a wonderful, happy New Year, and have a nice rest of the day or evening, whatever it is. Um, okay. We'll continue the conversation. Okay. Bye bye.